So I'm out in the woods. Just pulled over on a random trail, which obviously just is some campsites, but I am scoping out some campsites up here on this ridge. I have yet to ridge camp. I always go down by the creek. But anyway, the Jeep's not far down that way, and there's like a bathroom there. It's raining right now, and this canopy is keeping me very dry. I have some rain gear just in case in my backpack, but yeah, we've had rain the past 2 days. It's Labor Day weekend, Monday, Labor Day. Non-stop rain. This trail goes on this way. We'll check it out. And I'm just tired of sitting at the house. They sprayed the skies up really, really good for us this past week, so we'd get all this rain for the holiday weekend. And I was watching Tim's live earlier, Republic Down 1776 is the name of his channel. If you're not familiar with Tim, he's pretty relatable, and I like his channel. He's turned me on to some really good channels as well, truth channels. But anyway, he inspired me to go out in the woods anyway, rain or shine today, because he was actually on a trail finishing up his live, and I think he got too far out and lost signal or whatever. But anyway, the subject, just heard something today, is cryptids, which he had got on that subject, and I didn't know people were so interested in that, which I'm referring to like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Dogman. Well, it's kind of thick around here. My last hike I got poison oak, so I'm really trying to be careful. But anyway, I recently attended a Dogman conference in Paris, Tennessee with a dear friend of mine, and we camped out 2 nights at the Land Between the Lakes. And let me tell you, there is a lot of activity at the Land Between the Lakes. I'm going to get into my story a little bit, and well, we'll just start at the beginning. Like this trail here ends, so we won't be going any further, but I will start at the beginning of my story and head back to the Jeep, maybe venture on to another area. Never in my life did I ever believe in Bigfoot. Of course, my whole entire life I've been lied to about everything. You know, the earth is flat. Pretty much politicians are Satanists. Government doesn't care about you, and if anything, they're out to try to get you. You're born into a slave society. I mean, I've just been, lied to just like everybody else has been for their entire life. And I spent a lot of time out in the woods, especially the past couple of years, trying to prepare myself for what's coming, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you do. Just, testing myself with hiking, how far I can go, and camping solo by myself, and, starting fires, having shelter, so on and so forth. And I enjoy it, actually, so it's kind of my hobby now. And I spent a lot of time in the woods, and a friend of mine I was hiking with one day, we got on the subject of Bigfoot, and I told her, I really just don't believe in Bigfoot. Never, I've been out in the woods now for a good part of my life anyway, on and off. Never seen any evidence of anything. And she's like, oh yeah, they're real. And so I started just to look into it, and then I talked to another friend of mine who really further explained to me like the Nephilim and where Bigfoot lies and the truth of everything, and really opened my eyes to it and awakened me to, these things could actually be out there, because, we have been lied to about everything else. The world is upside down, and usually what science fiction is real, and vice versa. So, I was out camping a few times, and Once with my friend, a couple times solo, and did some tree knocks and, stuff like that. Just looking and trying to conjure up Bigfoot, right? Not really expecting anything to happen. And I didn't really have anything happen at that point when I went camping. I did hear some things that were questionable that night. The first night I did a tree knock, some owl communication that, I heard the real owl the first time, and I know what an owl sounds like, but then there was some communication going on between two owls on opposite side of a ridge that just didn't sound like real owls to me. Kind of sound like a mimic. And I heard one tree knock that night. And I was solo camping, and I just grinned. I was in my tent, and I just grinned, went to sleep. Nothing never really happened. But then, a few days later, I'm at home. And I go outside, and it's dark. It's like 10 o'clock. Cloudy. There's no moon, no stars. And I wander outside from time to time just to get fresh air, even at night. My cat was with me. And I just wander around to the front porch, standing there admiring. It is still a nice evening, even though it was cloudy. It was just pleasant temperature. And all of a sudden I hear this louder than I ever heard before from a Neanderthal, a whistle. I can't whistle. But it was the hey you. I have a notification whistle on my phone. It's that whistle. It's hey you, hey you. Well, this one was so loud and so long and came straight from a Neanderthal. My cat turned in that direction and hissed. And I have a feral cat out back that took off running. So I wasn't the only one to hear it. It was loud. It was the loudest whistle I've ever heard from. It was human. And I know it sounds crazy, but I really don't care what it sounds like. I know what I heard. And that's what proved to me that this stuff is real. So, after that, I'm like, I didn't panic. I was just like, okay. And I slowly, calmly walked back in the house and brought my cat in. And, nothing bad happened. My cat wanted to go back outside about 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later. Opened the door, and I smell skunk. And it's a strong skunk smell. And it's the same, I had been smelling this around, I'd been planting my garden. This happened in June. I was planting my garden the 1st of May. And that skunk smell, I would just get a whiff of it here and a whiff of it there. Every time I was out in the garden area. And this is out front, like the front side of my house. I heard the whistle from the other side of my house, close to my front porch, which there's a wooded area there. I do live in a rural area next to a church. I have no neighbors, none within hearing range, really, unless you're screaming. So, yeah, it's like open horse farmland, not a lot of woods, and I couldn't believe that I was hearing this there. And what was it doing there? Which was, I guess the most concerning thing to me. So I further researched it, and there's a thing called quantum attachment. They call it the hitchhiker effect. Apparently in the spiritual world with these things, they have rules. Like if you go to seek them out, then that gives them permission to seek you out, from what I understand. Because I do believe these things are related to Nephilim, which were the fallen angels that came down to earth. They were watchers of people who had fallen and mated with the women of the earth, and women gave birth to these giants called the Nephilim. And God destroyed the earth to rid the world of these giants because it had just gone crazy, from what I understand. And these giants are supernatural, obviously, from what I experienced. So I do believe they travel through portals. I mean, it gets deep. It gets really deep when you go down the rabbit hole of cryptids. But anyway, I just wanted to, oh, the bird feather, tell my story about how I got into this altogether, and I knew nothing about a dog man, and honestly, I don't want to know anything about a dog man. I did go to the dog man conference because it's related to Bigfoot and cryptids in general, and the land between the lakes is a whole nother story. It has a lot to do with the dog man. They have Bigfoot activity down there as well. I did get some structures, pictures of structures when we were down there. I should have done a video, but like I said, I didn't even know about touching on this subject on this channel, because, you know, it is kind of out there, but like I said, it's one of the truths that's been hidden from us, just like everything else. And it needs to be known. And actually, there are so many YouTube channels out there that are dogman related, that people have stories, Bigfoot stories too, that are all very similar. And I just don't know how so many people could have such similar stories. And even I have my own story that I experienced, so I don't see much in this area. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up the cryptids phenomenon and just touch base with everybody, and because it's very interesting to me. Like right now I'm looking at a tree bend. I'll try to get a better picture of it. Well, no, it's not really a tree bend, but kind of, sort of. They make arches and they make tree structures and things like that. That's really just kind of half of an arch. I haven't seen anything interesting since I just got on this random trail, really. They are just, all these little trails lead to campsites. But yeah, cryptids are real. It's a real thing. A lot of people are having sightings these days. It's becoming like really popular. So I just wanted to share on that and share my own experience with what I think was a hitchhiker Bigfoot. Yeah, so I mean, it goes deeper than a lot that I know. I just know what I've experienced, what I've caught on camera, and I know what I heard. So, not seeing anything with my own eyes, but that's what these creatures are about. They are the best at hide and seek that there ever could be. You know, there are people out there that's caught some on camera. Scott Carpenter, he's caught an interesting white Sasquatch peeking at him from his camera that he keeps on his shoulder that points to the back of him when he's hiking. There's been trail camera images. Some mushrooms. But yeah, I just wanted to share my Bigfoot story since we got on the subject of cryptids earlier with Tim's live. And I saw a lot of people making comments that they were very interested in the dogman. I'll tell you now, dogman and Bigfoot are kind of, they go together, but they don't. Bigfoot, to me, doesn't seem as nefarious as a dogman. And I've caught an image down at the land between the lakes of what looks like a cryptid dogman to me. And like, I'm waiting for all these photos to come up on my Amazon photos so I can share some of them with you. I don't have a home computer system. I just have my phone and a Fire Stick. But yeah, I got some really interesting pictures down there, and actually here in the Red River Gorge is where I experienced the hitchhiker, which I live 50 miles from here, so they're not all flesh and blood. They are when they want to be. But yeah, what I heard is definitely, most definitely, a supernatural being. Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna cut this video. I'm going down the road and find another trail. And might make another one, who knows. Hope everybody's staying narc free and borderline free. Later.